I'm Yoni.
I'm Tim. Today we're going to show you how to build a survival shelter out of tarps, paracord, and a couple of rocks.
Yeah, so there's a couple reasons that you want to be able to build a shelter. You want to be able to stay warm, you want to be able to stay dry, and it's just a much nicer living situation in this survival situation. Alright, so the first thing we want to do to build our shelter is to look around you. You want to make sure that there's no obvious dead trees that could fall on you if you're sleeping. And then once you have that assessed, you want to clear out the area. We're going to start by just taking any big sticks like this, getting them out of the way of where you want to be sleeping. Alright, so our area looks pretty good now. I don't see any big rocks around that it's going to be uncomfortable sleeping on, so we can start setting up our shelter. Alright, so the knot that we're going to use to tie our line to the tree to set up our taut line to put our tarp over is called the trucker's hitch. And it's a pretty simple knot. It might take a couple tries to get down, but that's why you have to practice it. I like to do just under an arm's length because we have a pretty small tree that we're going to, so it doesn't have to be super long. Then you let it fold over, and you're going to hold that, you're going to make a little bite, and you're going to take your finger through the loop and you're going to twist once, twist twice, and then you're going to take this short line and you're going to pull it right up through. And the goal is to have this little loop right here. And this loop will allow you to pass the rope through and haul down on that line and get a super tight taut line across so that you can make sure that you have a nice firm shelter.
Alright guys, now I'm going to show you how to make a half hitch. Here is a little stake that I'm going to use to the bite. The bite is this part of the rope, and you're going to want to stick that around. Now I usually like the short end in my right hand. That's just how I learned, so that's what I'm going to show you. You want to cross the short end over the long end, cross under, go over one more time, and you want to go through the V, and then back down through this hole and tighten just like this. This is very useful because you can not only shorten the rope, but you can also tighten it. This is good when dealing with tarps because it will control the wind. If it's a very windy day, you're going to want it very tight. If it's not so windy, calm, the weather's pretty well, you probably want it a little looser. And one way you can tell that you've done this knot right is because you will find yourself with a X right on the top of the hitch.
Alrighty, so Tim's first going to set up his hitch on that tree, and then I'll set up my trucker's hitch on my other tree. Alright. Okay, so now that Tim has that tightened down, I can come on over to my tree, and I'll take a good estimate of where I want my bite to be. I'm thinking right about here will be pretty nice. Just set that up. Now the special thing about a trucker's hitch is you can take the loose end of the line, once it's wrapped around your tree, you can pull it through that loop that you just made. You can do what's called hauling down. You can pull that end really tight. You can set up a super strong taut line. And then once you have it really tight, you can just hold down right on that bite, right where that loop is. Come around, and then loop it through, and you won't lose any tension. Now you can see we have a really strong taut line. This is going to act as the roof, like the roof beam of our tarp.
Alright, now that we have the taut line here nice and set, we're going to place our tarp over it. You want it just about even on both sides here, like so.
Alright, so now we're going to work on making this draped over tarp into a shelter. That's pretty simple. We're going to take the corners of the tarp, we're going to bring them out, and then we're going to get rocks, and we're going to place some rocks onto the end of the tarp. If your tarp's too high or too short, then you can tie a line into the eyelets of your tarp, and you can tie it around a rock, and that'll help keep your tarp down to the ground and make sure you have a nice firm wall. Alright, so Tim and I have went out, scattered some good rocks. You want to make sure that rocks aren't super deep in the ground, because you don't want to wreck the ground. If there's rocks easily accessible, definitely try to pick up those first. And if you have any big rocks like this, you want to set them back where you found them after you're done with your shelter. So once we're done setting this up, I'm going to put this rock right back where I found it. So we tied some half hitches to a little bit of line here, as did Tim, and we're going to attach this line to the eyelet in our tarp. So that's those little holes with the little metal rivets in the tarp. And that allows us to keep our wall nice and firm by backing them up, and then we can, if needed, put more and more rocks on to make sure that the wall won't move. Okay, so Tim and I have just stuck rocks on either corner, just like we showed. You can see we have a nice, reasonably firm wall now that I would personally feel very comfortable sleeping in. Yeah, so I guess we'll move on to the second portion of this video.
Alright guys, now that our shelter's set up, a lot of that anxiety is off our shoulders. We're ready to tackle a night or two in the woods. But now we have to talk about responsible land uses and how they pertain to camping. So we chose this spot because we had to check our surroundings. There's not anything above us, no sticks, no dead trees that look like they're gonna come down on us during the night, because that would not be good. This is the flattest area around that we could go to, so that's good. Got anything more to add?
No, I think that's it. Yeah, it's not super wet here, so we're not harming the environment too much. And any of the big rocks that we moved, we're going to put exactly where we found them. Make sure we leave no trace.
Alright guys, now it's time for the tour. We have all the corners tied down and one in the middle. So as we come in here, very spacious. You can hold a lot of people here in a survival situation. It's going to be nice to fit as many people as you can to keep you warm.